What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a recent podcast that I saw with Max Kellerman and Rich Paul, right? And I gotta admit, from when I first heard about this podcast, like Rich Paul was going to do a show or podcast with Max Kellerman. I'm surprised at Max Kellerman because I always thought Max Kellerman was a credible guy, right? Especially watching him with Stephen A. Smith. He seemed to be the one who was who was more credible out of him and Stephen A. Smith. But some of the things that Max Kellerman has been saying on this podcast that he do with Rich Paul, man, kind of just made me look at him differently. But I think that now that LeBron James' career is kind of winding down, I think that Max Kellerman is ready to jump off of that LeBron James bandwagon, right? And an example of that is just their latest podcast where Rich Paul basically called, where Max Kellerman basically called Rich Paul out for some statements that he made, and I think he's going to, I don't know if he is from here on out, but in this on this podcast, he called him out for some statements that he made because Rich Paul is always making some crazy statements, but I think that Max Kellerman is kind of getting tired of the nonsense, and he's gonna call him out, right? So let me play the audio from their exchange, and then I'm gonna come back and give some input.
LeBron, and by extension, the people around him, for good reason, is very interested in his legacy and supplanting Michael Jordan. And I think every little piece of evidence that you could marshal, especially when he's this old and could win a championship somewhere, Max, and improve his,
first of all,
I think that would be important to him.
There's no supplanting Michael Jordan because that don't even matter. Because
number one, what Rich Paul just said is true. Like, there's no supplanting Michael Jordan. So LeBron James can't replace Michael Jordan. That's number one. But number two, it does matter, right? It matters from a legacy standpoint, and it matters more financially. See, what a lot of people don't really, they don't really talk about this part of it. And I'm gonna get back into what Max Kellerman is talking about. But it matters because there's a lot of money involved. If LeBron James was able to replace Michael Jordan, there was a lot of money. Nike and the NBA and other sponsors, that all that money would be going to, it would sift over to LeBron James. It's like out with the old and in with the new. But because LeBron James did not perform up to high enough to replace Michael Jordan, those opportunities for LeBron James are off the table. That's what this whole thing was about. It wasn't about being the GOAT, just for the sake of LeBron James' ego. There's billions of dollars on the table for LeBron James, not for Nike. Nike gonna get their money whether Michael Jordan is their pitch man or whether LeBron James is their pitch man. But it was LeBron James going after Mike, trying to supplant Mike because there was billions of dollars on the table. Remember, Michael Jordan is worth, they just came out recently and say he's worth over $4 billion. LeBron James is worth $1.5 billion. Once LeBron James retired from the NBA, his net worth and is not going to increase the same way Michael Jordan's net worth increased, because LeBron James did not capture the fan base the way Michael Jordan captured the fan base. LeBron James, his job and his mission was to take over that fan base so he can tap into that, monetize that, and leverage that. LeBron James didn't do it. The way he didn't do it with because load management, flopping, cherry picking from team to team, and with the passion that he played for the game, he couldn't captivate the fans the way that Mike did, the way Kobe did, so he took shortcuts, and that's what's going to hurt LeBron James after retirement.
The people that are rooting for or against, they don't really have a say in anything. If there's a conversation between Michael and LeBron, let them have a conversation. But
the way it's framed for years and years and years,
I understand what you're saying, but here's
the fans do have a say. That's what it's all. It was the whole fight between, and I'm just using fight just to say, the whole contest between Michael Jordan, LeBron James, that whole conversation was about that fan base. But LeBron James went about capturing the fan base in the wrong way, and so the fan base that Mike have will always protect his legacy. LeBron James fan base is fractured. I said this in other videos. He have a few fans in Miami, a few fans in Cleveland, not so much in LA, So he has a fractured fan base. His fan base is nowhere near as strong as Mike, Kobe, Magic, and Bird and all that. He don't have that type of fan base. And the fan base is leverage. When you go try to do business, and you come into into the boardroom, and you had the type of fan base that Mike had, that Kobe had, Magic, and all those guys, right? That you bring leverage, because companies already know that that you're going to be able to sell a certain product, you're going to be able to promote a certain service. Whereas though LeBron James was more he was more of a polarizing figure than he was somebody who captivated the masses, right? And so that's a whole different ballgame. There's less leverage to that, and so that's why. And Rich Paul has failed. If you're LeBron James, Rich Paul failed LeBron James, in my opinion, in that aspect, because he did not do enough or anything to protect LeBron James' image, and even and build his image to a point where as though he could and that's LeBron James' fault too, because it's all based on what you do on the court. Just like Tom Brady, like what Tom Brady did on the field. Tom Brady won over fans. I was not a fan of Tom Brady until like the end of his career, because he just kept proving and proving and proving, and that's how you do it. Some people are fans immediately, and then some people just over the years, and they just see you out there doing your thing, and the fans see you putting your passion into it. And that's how your fan base grows. Tom, like I'm a fan of Tom Brady just because of what Tom Brady did on the field, man. So it wasn't Tom Brady had to make no speech. Tom Brady ain't have to make put an ad in the paper. He didn't need a podcast. They go by what you do on the field.
Problem with all of that, and this is where I can't speak for every athlete, but when you've accomplished what he's accomplished, it don't matter what nobody else thinks but him and his family. That's the only people that matter in this situation. To me, this is just me. And I'm a part of the inner circle.
I totally agree with that. But he shouldn't. But I get the feeling, not to the extent that like KD is obsessed with it. I'm not saying he's in that boat, but I get the sense through certain things he said through the years that it is important to him, and he would like to be thought of that way. And by the way, stands to reason. Who wouldn't want to be?
But it's like comments on social media, right? If you just read comments on social media, there's going to be 50 positive comments. There's going to be 150 negative comments.
You feel like he gets more negative than positive?
I don't know. I don't look at it, but when you do look at it,
certainly I'll say this: to be LeBron James, the ratio should be 1,000 positive to 1 negative. No one's perfect. Everyone has negative stuff, but the fact that he has to experience a world where it's like close to 50-50 must feel absurd to him.
And it is absurd. No way. And that's the same thing. Like Michael Jordan have haters, right? Kobe Bryant have haters, but the way that it shouldn't be 50-50. 50 people hate him and 50-50 like him. That's not, that's polarizing. That's not And that's where LeBron James is. Like, some people hate him, some people love him, right? But with Michael Jordan, there's a various, a small amount of people that don't like Michael Jordan. And Kobe Bryant, there's a small amount of people that don't like Kobe Bryant. But their fan base is so big that, and it way, like, the people who love them way outnumber the ones who don't love them. And it's not like that with LeBron James, right? So if you are a sponsor and you want to do business with LeBron James, and it's a 50-50, whereas though 80% it's like being a president, 80% public approval, 20% disapproval, right? For Michael Jordan. Then you come with 50% approval for LeBron versus 50% disapproval. You're going to want to do business with the person that has the 80-20, which is Mike, which is Kobe, which is Magic, which is Bird. Like, who hate Larry Bird? Who hate, who? Now, I'm not even saying hate, but who dislike Larry Bird? You know what I mean? If you're not even if you're not a Celtics fan, man, you admire what he did on the court. But LeBron James, if it's 50-50, like what Rich Paul just said, that's not a good look. It's just not a good look. And that's where you have failed your client, because your business is to protect his image, number one, and number two, to build his image and make him into almost like the boy next door. LeBron James never had no off the court issues as far as like extramarital situations or getting in trouble or anything, no legal issues. No way LeBron James should be in a situation where it's 50-50. That's just poor. You know what I mean? Like, his representatives just did a poor job, man. And so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'm gonna check you